Monterey Peninsula, an appealing part of Central California, has an array of sights to see, including Cannery Row. This Pacific coastline, famously painted into American literature by John Steinbeck, is for us enhanced by the WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca and Ferrari Racing Days. The second round of the Ferrari Challenge North America embraced this undulating racing circuit, widely anticipated by the fans and the teams. The drivers will deliver when they take to the tarmac, and at the end of the weekend, those that are victorious will have earned their accolades. Forza Ferrari. Hello everyone, welcome back to Laguna Seca Raceway. Qualifying is done, now it's the real deal, it's race time. And it's our Shell and Shell-Am drivers that take to the track first of all. Shell drivers you can easily identify from the graphics with the yellow strip across the top of the windscreen, and for the Shell-Am drivers, the black strip across the top of the windscreen. We're here for round two, then Laguna Seca before we head off to support Formula One in Montreal. Then it's Watkins Glen International, Sonoma Raceway, then the Indianapolis Motor Speedway before the glittering Finale Mondiale in the Emilia-Romagna area of Italy at Imola. So here we are then in the sunshine of California with the wonderful topography, and just look at these images. And I can honestly say that today is the first day in reality that we've seen the sunshine as brightly as it is. So it's quite a short circuit, this Laguna Seca, but my goodness, every turn is a challenge for our drivers, forgive the pun. Particularly turns 8 and 8A, of course, the famed corkscrew. But each and every one of them, the drivers don't have a chance to relax across this relatively short lap. And there you can see how undulating the area is, and how this racing circuit is carved out of the natural surroundings. So as I mentioned, the weather is better today than we've experienced all weekend long. Track temperature 24 degrees, the air temperature a mere 17. We have 55% humidity and 18 kilometers of wind, just blowing around a little bit. And, of course, down in the pit lane, bringing us all the news. Hot foot is Shay Adam. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Dave, and good afternoon to Tony and all the fans around the world tuning in for this, the fourth race of the 2024 season for the Coppa Shell competitors. We've got a full grid, and full is intended because Cyril Choksi, who did not start yesterday's race, is back for today's, but more on that in a few minutes. I just want to draw your attention to a couple of cars who perhaps didn't have the best turn of luck yesterday, namely Dana Goodwin and today's pole sitter in Coppa Shell AM. That would be Mr. Roy Carroll. Roy yesterday in the race finished in the 8th position, Dana in the 7th, but Roy not with the best start to the season, a DNF and a 4th at Circuit of the Americas. He came back firing on all cylinders today, putting the car on pole position for the CSAM category with Dana Goodwin alongside him for company. So they will be a very strong duo, having learned a lot in the race yesterday that they then applied to qualifying this morning, and that proved that hard work does pay off. So today's race should be very exciting. I know we'll get into the grid a little bit later on. We're waiting for the cars to be cleared to roll off on their recon lap. They'll come back around, grid up, and then we'll get things going.
Thank you, Shay. As always, I was chatting to Roy Carroll, funnily enough, about an hour ago in our lavish hospitality here in Laguna Seca, and it's a real family affair for Roy Carroll and his family in being involved in the Ferrari Challenge and also in Club Challenge as well, which is great. And Tony Verlander is alongside me. Tony, the weather conditions probably at their best all weekend long. That provides us with the best backdrop for some great racing to come.
Yeah, the weather is perfect right now. Not too hot, but at the same time, like you said, we're having the best weather of the whole weekend. these are conditions where drivers were able to test the other days. They know the pressures. They know how to react also at the start. They did yesterday, obviously, the first round of the races. And the big question is, can this man, Erik Marston, repeat the incredible performance he had yesterday?
Well, he's certainly done the first part of that, Tony, by qualifying it in P1. And we saw there Alessandro Balzani's driver coach and also Roberto Amorosi, team boss. They were both alongside the Erik Marston car for the Ferrari of Westlake driver. I spoke to him briefly at lunchtime, and he said, you know what, it's my home race, you know, I want to do well here. I'm feeling really, really good with the car. And yeah, he's delivered, hasn't he? And if he can make it 2 out of 2, he will go away from here a very, very happy man indeed, as the cars are being released then for their reconnaissance laps. It's Erik Marston going from pole position for our Shell drivers, and it's going to be Roy Carroll that goes from pole position for our Shell AM drivers. So the mix of the two classes within the same category, all of them driving the wonderful Ferrari 296, and this is a heck of a good shot actually of the hairpin. And I was mentioning to you just a few moments ago that perhaps I don't appreciate enough that there is quite an elevation change going into that turn, Tony, where you're running downhill, which acts as a further boost to you as you go into that very, very sharp turn. And of course, it is the scene of much action, not only at the start, but also during the race as well.
Yeah, it is true. The kink at turn 1 is full throttle, then going downhill into turn 2. We actually seen very clean starts and restarts. I was predicting even more contacts and even more action in that turn 2 Andretti hairpin, but we see more action later on during those opening laps. So yes, you need to be really awake at the start, but at the same time the kink itself is already tricky. 2-3 cars side by side, it's not an easy task. And very typical for Laguna Seca track is the dirt, is the sand that is outside the track, and that sometimes creates issues. We saw some offs at turn 6 in qualifying. So weather is perfect, but the track is very demanding, so a big task for the drivers today.
2 or 3 abreast, you said, Tony. We saw 4 at one point.
Yeah, it's
true.
It's true. It is true, yes.
Thank you, Tony Verlander. Now, of course, this is round 2 of our 2024 calendar, and it is a Ferrari Racing Days weekend, which is always very, very special indeed. Why? Because we get out on track some of the XX Programs cars and also the F1 Clienti as well. And here is just a sample of some of those cars, including the progenitor, the original FXX, and then the FXXK Evo. These cars are laboratory cars from Maranello, which allow clients the opportunity to really, really enjoy these cars on special events like this. And of course, all the data and everything that the clients are earning through these cars and their performance out on track, including this wonderful 499P Modificata. It's all being sent back to the engineers in Maranello, and of course the developments that are found from these laboratory cars, and of course the F1 Clienti here as well, all form part of the development process for Ferrari's production models as well. So Racing Days is always something special, Tony, and I know you particularly, with the Club Competizione GT here as well. It's a fantastic event.
Yeah, it feels like every part of these Ferrari Racing Days is just becoming bigger and bigger every day. We have a great collection of road cars that actually were coming onto the track right now and parking next to the FNA Hospitality. We have the great Ferrari Challenge action on track, but like we said and saw on the images, we have special Ferrari cars on track. There's a lot of history with the F1 cars. At the present, with the 499P Modificata, every time that those cars are on track, you just see the crowd gathering next to the fences and trying to get pictures, and just to see these very special cars. Obviously the 499P, last year's winner at Le Mans, which was a really special day for Ferrari.
Yes, absolutely. As we look at the Bruce Cleveland car, Bruce with a better qualifying today goes from P4 on the grid, so it's a row 2 start for the driver of the 158 car for Ferrari of Silicon Valley. Bruce Cleveland, wish him well into the race. You can just see to his outside Robert McWilliams there in the number 123 car. If memory serves me, Robert had an off during qualifying but managed to save the car, and it was a big save as well for the Ferrari of Washington driver. So the drivers and the cars just getting back into their grid positions or ready for the formation lap. As always, a rolling start with the Ferrari Challenge, and here in North America it's brilliant showing that we've had thus far, and we're into the fourth race of our 2024 season. Coppa Shell race 2 here at Laguna Seca. You see the final cars making their way into their nominated spots before the formation lap gets underway. You can see Jan Bernier moving into his position, which is right alongside Eric Marston. So those two will occupy the front row. To the right-hand side at the bottom of your picture, you can see the red car of Eric Marston. To the left-hand side is the blue and orange machine of Jan Bernier. Now, Cyril Choksi will be going from the third row of the grid. It's P6 in qualifying now. Cyril will be really desperate to bank some very, very important points because he didn't manage to start the race yesterday. However, the car has been repaired and he's in the race today, and he'll be hoping for maximum points haul that he can possibly achieve. He perhaps didn't go quite as well in qualifying as maybe I would have expected, but we will see. It can all turn around in the race, and of course we will bring you the grid in full when we bring you the formation lap, when the Richard Mills safety car leads the cars away for the 30-minute race plus 1 lap. It's a new duration for 2024, so we've added a lap to give you even more value for money in terms of the race entertainment that we can bring you. Tony and myself here to bring you the action during the course of the race, but none of that can get underway until we hear those immortal words, and let's go down to the grid to hear them.
Drivers, start your Ferrari engines.
Laura Hughes from Richard Mille here in America, doing a great job of drivers start your Ferrari engines, and there you can see the Richard Mille safety car to the left-hand side of your picture, and the cars do roar into life, ready to go out and do battle over 30 minutes plus 1 lap of the Laguna Seca circuit. And they'll be out on their formation lap momentarily. The mix of Shell and Shell Am drivers. Eric Marston, pole position. Roy Carroll, pole position for the Shell Am drivers. They line up in their groups, so the first 8 cars are all Shell drivers, then the remaining are the Shell Am drivers, but of course they're classified separately in terms of the results, so the Shell Am drivers being led away by Roy Carroll. But this is our pole sitter, Eric Marston, for Ferrari of Westlake. Sealed the deal yesterday and sealed the deal in qualifying today by putting it on pole position once again by a fairly healthy margin, I want to say, as well, Tony. Jan Bernier and Chuck Whittle were chasing him, but Eric has just got every box ticked so far this weekend.
Yeah, he had a great performance, and what impressed me a lot was the way he was doing it. The start of the race, everything seemed to be under control. At the restart, he maybe let the others get too close. The way he accelerated from the last turn, could have done a little bit better, but at the same time he covered the line very beautifully going into turns 1 and 2, and there was never really a big threat for him. And when he got to that pace again, he was just on another level, which is impressive to see. His performance has been there. Cota was a good weekend, but still some contacts, and the pace like this we didn't see in Cota, so it's been impressive to follow Eric's performance and development as a driver.
Thank you, Tony, as we watch the Jerry Walters Bubbles car make way down the pit lane. Stand by, we're about to get the race underway. As promised then, we'll bring you the grid in full of all our runners and riders in this, the second race of the weekend for Coppa Shell. Eric Marston from pole position, alongside him Jan Bernier. To the second row of the grid, where we find Chuck Whittle and Bruce Cleveland. Good quali from Bruce, watch him at the start. To the third row, where we find Robert McWilliams and Cyril Choksi, another driver that will want to make hay while the sun shines here in California. Lisa Clark and John Viscup occupy the fourth row. They go from P7 and P8 respectively. To the fifth row, where we find Roy Carroll, the best of the Am drivers, and Dana Goodwin right alongside. To row 6 right now, where we find Roger Monteforte and Jerry Walters, the pink car that we were talking about just moments ago. On to the 7th row, it's Steve Check and Brian Woltersdorf. They go from P13 and P14. To the next row, which is row 8, it's David Williams and Jeffrey Nunberg. They are P15 and P16 on our Coppa Shell Am grid. to the 9th row where we find Paul Lynn and Al Hegyi. And then on the 10th row of the grid, completing our 19 cars that will start this race, it's Helen Shu. That's the way it looks for Ferrari Challenge Coppa Shell Race 2 here at the wonderful Laguna Seca. It's quite a short lap, but it's a lap where you can't relax even for a moment. And as Tony Villander has told us on a number of occasions, it's an old school circuit which the moment you put just one wheel off the tarmac and into the loose stuff, potentially you could be in trouble. The cars lining up, grid formation side by side, the Richard Mille safety car leading them away. All looks really nice and precise at the moment. And we'll split the screen so that you can see the cars as they approach the final turn, as the Richard Mille safety car indicates left and fires into the pit lane. It is the responsibility of Eric Marston and Jan Bernier to control the pace of the rolling start. And we are ready to go racing. As soon as the green flag flies, Eric Marston will give it 100%, one assumes, on the loud pedal. As once again, here in Laguna Seca, we go racing. Ferrari Challenge style into turn number 1. It's going to be a very, very busy turn. Here they go through the Kingpin, which is turn number 1. Eric Marston, for me, got it absolutely nailed. Can he scrub the speed off going into turn number 2? Yes, he can. Loving this high drone shot, which shows all the cars going through this double apex turn. And Tony, for the moment, everyone seems to have got away pretty well.
Yeah, look, really clean start again. We've been seeing this trend over the weekend, and Eric just mastered the start really well and was nice. 2 lines and all the cars close to each other, so great start.
Yeah, very good start indeed. And already you can see that Eric Marston is beginning to stretch his legs in the lead of the race. And here we can see and pick the cars up then as they make their way, climbing uphill now, and it is a big uphill climb through these turns, heading towards the corkscrew. And yeah, the car's looking good and resplendent. And then just when you think you've done all the climbing, there's more to come. And it really is steep up there. Having walked it, I know. And then all of a sudden this roller coaster begins going downhill as Jan Bernier just encroaches into the margin that Eric Marston had created and gets a little bit closer. So this isn't done yet by any means. Of course, 30 minutes plus 1 lap of racing to come from these Ferrari Challenge Coppa Shell cars. And there is Jerry Walters then doing a good job running in P4 in class at the moment, just behind Roger Monteforte. That's the way it looks in the Coppa Shell AM drivers currently. And Jerry Walters then, and you can see just behind then as Brian Waltersdorf and Steve Check, and also Dana Williams and Jeffrey Nunberg as well. All the order on the left-hand side of your screen. You can see that John Fisker is running in P7 at the moment. Dana Goodwin leading in the Coppa Shell AMs. And Brian Waltersdorf is dropping down the order, I can see from the timing screen as well, having dropped quite some places now. So Dana Goodwin leading from Walters, from Monteforte, from Czech, and from Carroll, who of course started in the P1 position for our Shell Am drivers. Quite what happened to Roy Carroll, I'm not sure that I saw that any more than maybe you did, Tony. But Jan Bernier, does he attack Eric Marston? Does he protect his position from Chuck Whittle? Well, that's the question for the driver of the blue and orange car at the moment. So yes, Roy Carroll's dropped right down the order, and he's now running P5 in class, and he started pole position, Tony.
Yeah, tricky start for him. We saw also on this second lap that Eric had a little moment going into turn 5. The car sort of moved a little bit under braking, and he's still building up the tire pressure, so it takes 2 to 3 laps to really get everything up to right temperature, tire pressure's up, and the handling is back to normal. So I would expect that Eric is taking it a little bit carefully at the start of the race and then build up the margin when he gets everything up to running as it should.
Okay, so Marston crosses the line, as does Jan Bernier, and it is Eric from Jan, from Chuck Whittle, and Bruce Cleveland, and Robert Williams, and Cyril Choksy has moved up a place to P6. He'll be hoping to make some more places up as well. Dan Goodwin sets the fastest lap in the Shell Am drivers, and Eric Marston, of course, sets the fastest lap, as you would expect for the Shell drivers. They would, because they were the drivers leading those classes. Of course, Eric Marston's got a completely clear track ahead of him, so theoretically he can just nail every apex and get every corner lined up perfectly. You see now that he is re-energizing this gap that he has between himself and Jan Bernier. Jan Bernier, of course, he's trying to attack but also defend as well, because he's got Chuck Whittle and Bruce Cleveland having a go and they're not far behind, and therefore Jan Bernier is thinking about defending his position as well. Big points haul for P2 is very, very important. He'd love to attack Eric Marston, but at the moment he's got to keep that review screen in mind and maintain his P2 position currently. Dana Goodwin, Jerry Walters now up to P2 for our Shell Am drivers, ahead of Roger Monteforte. So great drive in there, and Roy Carroll has recovered to P4 now.
Yeah, you can clearly see that now the grip is starting to be there. Drivers are using more the exit curbs, leaning more and more aggressively on the car at the high-speed corners. So now everything is quite smooth from here on. I like the way Eric is using the whole track. He's very precise at the apex, really touching those inside curves, but at the same time the rolling speed takes him to the outside curve, so the speed in the middle of the corner is really well balanced, and his driving is really nice at the moment.
Cyril Choksi is a man on a mission, having just got past Robert McWilliams. He's moved himself up to P5. So Cyril Choksi, knowing he's got to right the wrongs of yesterday, is on a mission here now. Dana Goodwin is having to defend from Walters, and doing a very good job in that P2 position. Jerry doing a very good job in that P2 position at the moment, chasing down Dana Goodwin, who is leading for Ferrari of Seattle in Coppa Shell Am at the moment. Marston, Bernier, Vittel for the Shell drivers. It's Goodwin, and there is the car that's running P2 at the moment. Jerry Walters for Ferrari of Vancouver, climbing up the hill, trying to keep on terms with Danny Goodwin. And again, has got Roger Monteforte for company, having got past Roger Monteforte. Roger thinking about trying to come back here as well. So lots going on in this race. As I mentioned, Cyril Choksi is going to be one to watch. He's beginning to just reel in Bruce Cleveland as well. Here comes Roger Monteforte. Just taking a look at Jerry Walters. Where can he place his car now to try and take advantage? Overtaking here at Laguna Seca is at something of a premium. One of the places you can do that is where we're going to be approaching next, and that's going through the kink at turn 1 but into turn 2.
Yeah, we mentioned a few times during the weekend that it's not so easy to overtake here. You would almost need a little mistake from the driver to lose the optimum line, the corner in the previous corner. So we've seen some tight battle over the weekend. So track position after qualifying, and the importance of qualifying is really high here in Laguna Seca.
Another driver on a real charge at the moment is Jeffrey Nunberg. He's moved up 3 places to P5 in Coppa Shell Am currently, but we're watching this battle that is going on between Jerry Walters and Roger Monteforte. Roger Monteforte under braking gets ever closer to the all-pink bubbled car ahead. That is the car driven by Jerry Walters. Meantime, Eric Marston stretching his legs still further. He's got a margin of 2 seconds over Jan Bernier right now in P2. And, well, Jerry Walters then doing a very good job there, and there is Jeffrey Nunberg. Now, I mentioned Jeffrey Nunberg just a few moments ago, having moved up a number of places into P5. He's got pace. The Ferrari of Central New Jersey driver. He's got quite some gap to fill, though, before he can get on terms with Roy Carroll, who, of course, started the Shell Am race in pole position and finds himself in P4. So that is the car of Jeffrey Nunberg that we're watching right now. Marston continuing to lead, Dana Goodwin continuing to lead for the Shell Am drivers, and there is Jerry Walters and Roger Monteforte now under pressure from Roy Carroll, trying to come back here and right the wrongs of the start and try and at least get himself into a provisional podium place. So that one, it's the car of Roger Monteforte at the moment. Here comes Roy Carroll then into turn 2. And under braking gets ever closer, and then round the left-hander, double apex, as Tony has mentioned, and Jerry doing a good job in keeping the attacks from these two drivers under control at the moment. Roger Monteforte gets a very good exit there. Is he going to be able to just provoke a small mistake from Jerry Walters somewhere, which would enable him to go by? At the moment, she's certainly not for moving, and yes, it's going to be hard work for Roger Monteforte and also Roy Carroll as well. But Jerry Walters doing a very, very good job currently in P2. Oh, and we've got a car around, and good avoidance from another car there. And where that is situated, that is turn 3, and the 115 car of Helen Shu hopefully can engage reverse and get it pointing in the right direction again. And let's see how it happened. I think it was just a wheel into the sand, Tony.
Yeah, I think it just happened. There was no contact. I think it was just a driver error. So the image got a little bit late onto the car, but just having a spin like that, the car was maybe too much to the inside, and we saw a lot of gravel dirt coming to the track again.
Right now, Roger Monteforte can't attack too much because he's trying to protect himself from the hard-charging Roy Carroll right behind here. These three are having a really good battle, and it is the battle that's going on for P2, which is held by Jerry Walters at the moment. Roger Monteforte doing the chasing with Roy Carroll almost pushing him even harder, metaphorically. These three nose to tail then in this battle with Jerry Walters. And let's ride on board now the Roy Carroll car, the Foreign Cars Italia driver, and see it from a driver's eye perspective. In these wonderful 296 Challenge cars, you begin to climb uphill right now, and you have to be millimetrically perfect, as we've said in many of our broadcasts over this weekend, and really just use the curves, but don't go any further than that, because if you do, it's really going to hurt your momentum, because you're into that loose stuff. I mean, because the topography is such where there is a natural coating of sand almost everywhere around the track. You can see it here, and I love being on board in this roller coaster ride that you can take around the Laguna Seca circuit. Three cars as one together there, all contesting this P2 placing. Actually, the three of them are getting a bit closer to Dana Goodwin now, Tony.
Yeah, it's becoming a four-car battle, and like you said, those onboard images are just special. This track is very, very special with the elevation changes, the shape of the corners, the world-famous corkscrew, but also the way the drivers use the track.
That was
tight battle.
That's Robert Williams and Bruce Cleveland. Now Cyril Choksi has moved up past them, and so Cyril Choksi is up to P4 already. So good driving from Cyril Choksi. You can see him there with the grey front to the car now. The front a different colour to the rest of the car by dint of him unfortunately not being able to start the race yesterday. The team have worked really hard to repair the car. He's trying to repay them by doing the best job that he possibly can out there, and he's up to P4 and is beginning to escape up the road. Meantime, Dana Goodwin, the Ferrari of Seattle driver, leading in Coppa Shell Am, and they're still all battling behind, as Roy Carroll was just taking a different view of Roger Monteforte there. And as they climb up the hill now, it's almost going to become a four-way party for P1 in Shell Am.
Yeah, it's a beautiful tight battle. Also, like you said, Cyril Choksi has been on many of the race laps, have been the fastest car on track, changing the fastest lap with the race leader Eric Marston. So Cyril Choksi's pace is back. He has had a difficult weekend,
yes,
but this is looking promising right now.
Roy Carroll then to the outside of Roger Monteforte. That will cost him in terms of momentum, and it did cost him, and that isn't a natural place to have a go, I don't think, Tony, but what do I know? I can only talk about it. You've actually done it and driven it, and you know what racing is like. And Jerry Walters, well, I actually think that the battle that's been going on behind is driving her still further. There you can see the 166 car of Chuck Whittle. Now, that's Robert McWilliams, who has gone off and makes contact with the race leader in Coppa Shell Am. That's Dana Goodwin. So as Robert McWilliams returned, was unsighted, and, well, now, of course, Jerry Walters is rubbing her hands with invisible soap, because all of a sudden she's got what is effectively a backmarking car now protecting her from those that were trying to pursue her. By name, they are Roger Monteforte and Roy Carroll. So as Jerry accelerates up the road now, I did wonder whether that would upset the Dana Goodwin car, but it doesn't appear to have done so. There's slight contact between them.
Yeah, McWilliams has had a quite eventful day already from qualifying. Saw some sideways movement, spin later on in qualifying, and now again another moment. Oh, it's a tight battle all around the track.
Well, and you can see Robert McWilliams is trying to come back now. Now, do bear in mind, he's in a completely different class. He's not battling with the two drivers ahead of him, although, of course, he is on track. I mean, it's a non-in-class battle. And for my money, this is brilliant driving from Jerry Walters. Robert McWilliams then tried to dive to the inside. I don't know whether there was a little bit of contact there, Tony, but Jerry is unfazed by it and continuing to reel in Dana Goodwin.
Let's just hope that the drivers keep it clear and there's no drama.
Right, there is Chuck Whittle, who's running P3 at the moment. Now he's got Cyril Choksi right on him. Now we've seen Cyril Choksi overtake 3 or 4 cars in the battles so far. Cyril would love to be able to take a podium out of this race. And Cyril is, well, it's like Chuck Whittle is almost on the end of his fishing line as he begins to reel him in and climb uphill now. Cyril Choksi in the 173 car. Of course, he had a fantastic opening of his 2024 season at the Circuit of the Americas with a P2 and a race win, if memory serves me correctly. And I haven't got time to look at my notes because there's so much action on track. And still, Jerry Walters is tracking Danny Goodwin. And I have to say, fair play to Goodwin, who's been able to defend that position. And Robert McWilliams, of course, wants to get past both of these Shell Am drivers and get back into the Shell battle. Of course, that didn't play into the hands of Roger Monteforte and Roy Carroll, who, of course, have also got to get by that car to try and get back to Jerry Walters again. And now Roger Monteforte reels in Robert McWilliams. So the driver with the yellow strip across the top of the windscreen actually isn't in this class battle for P1, 2 and 3, which is still still continuing to rage. And great stuff for us to watch, that's for sure, as Jerry Walters been really impressed with the driving here, and into the turn they go, and this is Robert McWilliams trying to find a way past Jerry Walters. I just wonder, Jerry Walters has really got the pace here. Danny Goodwin has done a good job of defending, and there's only been a couple of occasions where Jerry has been close enough to even potentially make a move stick, but it's been fascinating for us, and already the first half of the race is done and dusted, unbelievably so. Roy Carroll continuing to pressure Roger Monteforte, and this is Cyril Choksi. Now this is for P3 in the Coppa Shell race. Chuck Whittle holding that P3 at the moment. Cyril Choksi, where is he going to try his luck, do you think, Mr. Verlander?
He has some more pace. Driver error, overtaking here into last turn. I think he needs to really sort of a late move, late braking, and that will open the chance for overtaking. But we mentioned before, it's not easy to overtake here, and a little mistake in the exit of the corner then opens chance towards the next one. So braking into here, but as you can see, the defending driver, he can move more to the left and sort of a tighter line going into turn 2, and that way there's no real space for car to overtake. So
Chuck is really positioning the car perfectly, isn't he, to deny Cyril Choksi the opportunity, and it's his right to do that. He's defending his track position, and his track position is P3 at the moment.
I was predicting this.
Oh, Tony, and Jerry Walters have been doing such a good job, Hopefully we'll get a replay of that. We just picked up on the end of it. And that looks like the Roger Monteforte car that has gone around, perhaps as a consequence of whatever went on there. Rejoining right now, and Jerry Walters has rejoined too, so there's no race suspension, but of course the order has changed really rather dramatically now, and well, there is Roger Monteforte, and I just wonder whether that car is sliding a bit at the back end. We will see. Well, what a shame, what an absolute shame, but there we are. Racing sometimes, all the time, is utterly beautiful, but sometimes it can be brutal for some drivers as well. Well, to be fair, the 101 car of Roger Monteforte appears to be perfectly okay. There is Jerry Walters then, and I remind you that she was running a very good race in P2, and had stayed with Danny Goodwin virtually the entire race until just that incident a couple of moments ago. And well, for our race leaders overall, Eric Marston and Jan Bernier, it hasn't impacted or affected them, but it's certainly changed the shape of the Shell Am category. And here comes Cyril Choksi, switching from one side to the other, and Chuck Whittle just closing the door. And once again, it is his right to do that. He has got track position. He has got that P3 place. And, you know, his answer is, you can be quicker than me, Cyril, but you've got to find a way by me, friend.
Yeah, which is not easy for the Shell Am battle. Somehow the group was shaping in a way that there was one car from the Coppa Shell, so you know, one car being from the other category, and drivers driving just on the limit. So it would be nice to get the replay if there was a contact or not, but just the shape of the racing was a little bit out.
Yeah,
you know, in a way that the spinning driver rejoined in the middle of the group that was having a great battle for many laps. So
here comes the replay, Tony. Let's take a look at what happened there as Cyril Choksi continues his quest on Chuck Whittle. Of course, the big beneficiary of that was Roy Carroll. I'll just mention that in just a moment.
Yeah, there's a little tap.
Well, you predicted it, Tony.
Yes, I did.
I have to say, fair play to Jerry, who recovered very, very quickly. So why did Roger go wrong then? Roger, just catching the car of Roy Carroll as well. I just suspect that Roger, as a consequence of that, just dipped into the sand. Oh, and this is live.
Yeah, we suddenly get a lot of action around the track. This is coming down from the corkscrew. And another car spinning there.
Okay, so there is the 1-2-3 car of Robert McWilliams, and we saw that in that replay just a few moments ago. And here comes Jerry Walters. Now, the positions were reversed just a couple of laps ago, and of course it was Robert McWilliams that made contact with Jerry Walters. Jerry, to be fair to her, having been very, very quick in recovering the car, has actually has managed to get a provisional podium place. She's back in P3. The big beneficiary was Roy Carroll. He's up to P2, so that was as a consequence of that. Let's take a look at this.
McWilliams, I must say, is a little bit out of control today.
Yes.
There's been quite a lot of action. There's been quite a lot of action on track, and obviously, like I said, the battle they had for the Coppa Am was shaping quite nicely, and then in the middle, things started to go wrong after he joined the group. So,
yes,
unfortunate to see, and hopefully we get a clear run. We are just under 10 minutes to go, and we get a clear run towards the end.
Cyril Choksi has tried every which way but loose to try and find a way past Chuck Whittle. Great driving from both of them, respectful driving from both of them. Chuck Whittle has not put a foot wrong. However, now Cyril Choksi has got to the inside line, but to be fair, discretion the better part of valor there. Chuck Whittle obviously was able to carry more momentum, and Cyril had to dive out of that potential move. But you can see that Cyril is really, really trying as hard as he possibly can here. And he is quicker. He is quicker than the car in front, as we see another car around as well. So he is quicker, but he's got to find a way by. And at the moment, he's not been able to find a way by because Chuck Whittle is driving very defensively, as is his right to do so. So Cyril Choksi, what he really needs is a mistake from Chuck Whittle ahead of him, but that mistake isn't coming at the moment, Tony.
Yeah, he really needs to get side by side. I think the images we got earlier was just perfect example of Laguna Seca, meaning that he can go next to him, but if the driver in front just keep turning in front of the nose of the car, there's no real way to go. And again, we see the same move. First, the overtaking driver, Cyril Choksi, tried to go inside, and the other driver defends a little bit. So this is very typical Laguna Seca.
A question I've not asked you yet, technically, Tony, is that on this relatively short lap, on the start-finish straight here, if you run close to the car in front, do you get the benefit of any stream behind?
It's very difficult. I was in a...
But there, may I say, is really good driving from Cyril Choksi. He's dialing out of it. He's not putting both drivers in peril. He's trying to overtake, but he's trying to overtake in a firm but fair way.
It is true. And in Laguna Seca, you need to decide. You really need to go for that late braking, and you need some collaboration with the other driver. If he just closes the door, then often we have a contact. And it's been a battle for the last podium place for Coppa Shell. And this been shaping up for many laps, so hopefully the patience level stays there, and we can have a great fight.
Patience level and concentration level as well, I would think, Tony. As the cars climb up the hill, you could just see here is this is for the lead in Shell Am as Roy Carroll with a daredevil dive down the inside of Dana Goodwin as Dana Goodwin tries to come back now at Roy Carroll. This is for the lead in Coppa Shell Am. Wow. Oh, and no! Dana Goodwin just carrying just a little bit too much speed, and the car goes around. Oh, heavens, Tony. And Jerry Walters, look, a beneficiary of this. That will elevate Jerry Walters into P2. Well, the recovery comes, and Dana is able to get up the road. Let's see it again in replay here.
Yeah, he went a little bit inside going into turn 6, which is a corner before you go up the hill towards the corkscrew. He went more to the left, came back and sort of had a continuous movement with his race car, just closing the steering. The car went to over rotation, and that's why he spun. And if we had clear races, this is the 4th start of the season, and this has been the most action-packed. There is things happening all through the grid, so it's been exciting to follow.
It has been exciting to follow, and it's continuing and will continue for another 6 minutes plus a lap, that's for sure. So now, critically, for Cyril Choksi, I wonder whether we're going to get into a position now where Cyril is going to have, or rather, not Cyril, but Chuck is going to have cars in front of him. And, oh, goodness me, again, Cyril is just putting his nose where it's really not welcome. However, you've got to do that, Tony. You've said that to make it work here, you've got to be utterly committed.
Committed and keep the pressure. Keep the pressure on the driver in front of you, and sooner or later something will happen.
Yes, and we've got traffic upcoming. Is this going to play into the hands, potentially, of Cyril Choksi, who dives to the inside now again? Brilliant drone shot that we can see there. And this is very good driving from a back-marking car. Look, just getting right out of the way and allowing this battle to continue unhindered. So as they head into the kink, through the kink, full chat flat, downhill into turn 2 right now. Lap after lap after lap, Cyril Choksi has been in this position. He's tried, I would have suggested, at very nearly every corner to try and provoke a mistake from Chuck Whittle. No mistake has come, and therefore Cyril has been denied the opportunity to move into that P3 place. Goodness me, this has been brilliant driving from both of them. And Cyril then, if he's guilty of anything, it's perhaps not being just quite aggressive enough and putting the car right alongside. But
he's also a driver that is coming from a series of not so lucky events, especially the last race, the race yesterday. So he wants to finish this as well. So
of course,
on the plate you have the podium and the points for the 4th place. So which one you take?
Yeah, no, that's a very fair point. You've got to think sometimes of the long game as well. So Cyril just eases off for a moment or two before, can't help but feel that he will re-energise his attack on the Chuck Whittle car ahead. Can I just mention, Tony, because we've been really rather busy watching this, in the meantime, Eric Marston has opened up a gap in the lead of the race by 8.5 seconds over Jan Bernier.
Yeah, very impressive. I was just thinking the same. We haven't seen a lot of images of the leading car, but he has done a perfect drive so far, building that gap almost to 10 seconds now, and also by judging by the fastest laps, he's really been on the pace of his own. Only driver under 125, and the other drivers are high 25, 25.5, 25.6. So there's a quite big margin on performance that Eric Marston has.
Well, there's a saying, of course, that nothing is over until the rotund lady sings, as Cyril once again looks at the inside, and the sharp intake of breath from Tony Verlander alongside me there. Here indeed is our race leader, Eric Marston, who's got the clear track ahead of him, the Ferrari of Westlake driver, who's driving so well this weekend. Oh no, and that's Jerry Walters, and I suspect that might be...
No.
Oh, that is such a shame, such a shame. I was about to say that actually there's been so much action during the course of this Shell-Shalom race that's why we've not seen so much of Eric Marston. Doubtless we'll get a replay of that. This is Lisa Clark. Lisa Clark chasing down John Viscup. John Viscup and Lisa running P6 and P7 in the Shell class of Ferrari Challenge Coppa Shell. The mix of Shell and Shell-Am drivers as we get a full course yellow. And I rather think, Tony, that the race is probably going to end behind the safety car. Here's a replay.
I think this is another corner. I think the action happened in turn 1.
And there's damage to the Jerry Walters car.
Yeah.
And any hope that as that is the car of Jan Bernier, any hope Cyril Choksi had of trying to get onto Chuck Whittle ain't going to happen.
You need to be careful overtaking cars, even if they are lap cars or whatever. Just on this phase of the race. When you have full course yellow, you have yellow flags all around the track. So we saw some drivers waving, which sometimes indicates that they cannot maintain speed.
Right.
But still, to take the matter in your own hands and overtake other drivers, you need to be careful.
I think it was. I was looking. You could identify the Jerry Waters car immediately, and I rather think it was Dana Goodwin that Jerry Waters and Dana Goodwin had it coming together, which is a great shame. A great shame. And well, you can see the recovery teams are on their way already. And Eric Marston leading the race for our Shell drivers. And something I was going to say just before that incident unfolded, Tony, is the fact that Roy Carroll had a torrid start. And Roy Carroll is now leading the race in the Shell Am drivers because there has been so much action going on. He's been able to take advantage. And we are starting the final lap then behind or with the auspices of the full course yellow, which means the order that we have is the order that will finish. And there is the stricken Jerry Waters car, and you can see in the centre of the picture the stricken Dana Goodwin car in the gravel. What a great shame. It's a race that has delivered so much, and it just proved the point that overtaking is tricky here at Laguna Seca. It can be done, and we've seen it done on a number of occasions, but there's also been some situations where despite best efforts, great defensive driving has meant any overtaking has been at a premium.
And it's really fine line with the close calls and tight battle, and then when you misjudge a little bit the braking zone, tap the rear of the car of the driver who's in front of you, and then if that car spins, then it's a big things happening. Cars trying to avoid the spinning car and so on. So driving standards in today's race was a little bit on the limit.
And I think that's fair.
Yeah. So we love to see a lot of action, but we love to see these cars also coming back to the pits in one piece. So every time we have contacts, we need to calm down a bit and see what caused those situations.
I guess the trouble is, Tony, and I can't speak from the wealth of racing experience you have, adrenaline runs high, doesn't it? You know, excitement levels, you know, and you feel almost invincible, and you feel that, you know, sometimes moves are perhaps bold and over-ambitious.
Yeah, coming into the season, we have a brand new car. It takes time to learn everything about the car, and when drivers get that confidence level higher, you also want more. You want faster lap times, you want better results in the race, and that almost takes away the calm approach you can have for racing. And then we saw some over-optimistic moves and drivers having a poor start, trying to recover, drivers spinning off track, rejoining the track, and then upsetting the battles that were on track. So there was a lot of action around the grid, all around the grid. So but having said that, great performance for Eric Marston. Great fight with the cars on P3 and P4 in Coppa Shell. They had a really tight battle, and now we are taking the checkered flag.
Another mention that is worthy of bringing up is the fact that I said at the beginning of the race, Tony, in the Shell Am category, Jeffrey Nunberg had got a lot of work to do. He'd got a lot of overtaking to do. Very quietly, very unassumingly, he has done that, and he's into P3 in Shell Am.
Yeah, that's a beautiful result, and he repeated the progression he had in yesterday's race. Now I think Jeff needs to work a little bit on the qualifying to start higher up, and then he will have more podiums coming into him, but very happy for him as well, and great weekend. He said he was struggling a bit with this track, having confidence with the flow and the speed of this track together with the new 296 challenge, but I think he's happy. I think he was P5 yesterday and P3 today, so
Absolutely.
Good weekend.
Well remembered. Credit to Paul Lynn as well, doing another good job and up into P4. So the order we have is Eric Marston, Jan Bernier and Chuck Whittle. They're the top three Shell drivers. For the Am drivers, it's Roy Carroll, Roger Monteforte and Jeffrey Nunberg, and there is Roy Carroll. As I said, I spent some time with him at lunchtime, and Roy was really happy to talk and to exclaim his love of Ferrari, but not only his love of Ferrari, but his entire family as well. He's got daughters in Club Challenge as well, so he said it is really fantastic that we've got this wonderful affinity with the Ferrari brand, where the whole family can enjoy a race weekend.
And he had a great qualifying. He started on pole in Shellam, and then the start wasn't that good, but he managed to recover well. He did a good intelligent race and was regarded with the win.
Dare I say he kept his calm when others perhaps didn't.
Exactly.
Here's confirmation of the result then. Eric Marston taking the win from Jan Bernier and Chuck Whittle. They are the 1, 2, 3. Ahead of Cyril Joxy, Bruce Cleveland, John Viscup and Lisa Clark. The winner in the Shell sees Roy Carroll. It's P8 overall. Ahead of Robert McWilliams, Roger Monteforte and Jeffrey Nunberg, Paul Lynn, David Williams, Brian Waltersdorf and Steve Check, then occupying the positions P9 through 15. Ahead of Al Heggie. And then it was Helen Shue, Jerry Waters and Dana Goodwin. And then we had non-starts from Talal Sher, Darren Bernstein and Mitchell Green and Osvaldo Gallo. So that's the way it looks then, the confirmed classification. And yes, it was a topsy-turvy race, very, very turbulent, but it wasn't for that man who's pulling into the pit lane now. Eric Marston, who had almost a privileged existence, I want to say, Tony, because, of course, he set his stall out right from the very start, and once he'd done that, he was up the road and wasn't disturbed by anyone.
Yeah, that is true. He was with the other drivers for 2 laps, and after that he had the pace on his own, more or less half a second to 0.6 per lap. He was faster and impressive drive for Eric Marston, and I'm not sure, but maybe he's even a little bit surprised of the performance he had this weekend, and so strong in qualifying and winning both races. So what a great weekend, and he says this is his home track. He loves to race and drive here, and he really performed well.
Yes, he did. We can take nothing away, and why should we, from Eric Marston. Done a great job making it 2 out of 2 of this weekend. Well done to Jan Bernier, P2, and well done to Chuck Whittle, P3. Cyril Joxy gave it his best shot, and to be fair, moved up a number of places to finish P4. And for our AM drivers, Roy Carroll victorious ahead of Roger Monteforte and Jeffrey Nunberg. So we'll see the emotions as Eric climbs out of the car now, and he will be absolutely thrilled, and team supporting them by removing the communications device. And there is Alessandro Balzana's. Matt Dusenbury also offers congratulations as well. I was about to say Alessandro Balzan has had more airtime from us non-racing than sometimes he gets when he's racing, but there is Ale and there is Matt Dusenbury, and there of course is our race winner Eric Marston, and well done Eric, great job done. Brilliant stuff. The camaraderie between all the drivers is also wonderful to see. Wonderful to see. They have great relationships. Of course, they're adversaries out there on track, but when it comes to off track, they're all pretty friendly, and that's lovely to see. As the top 3 of each of the classes move into that area, and well done to Eric Marston, Jan Bernier, Chuck Whittle, and to Roy Carroll, to Roger Monteforte and Jeff Nunberg. Shay Adam, of course, who will be down there and trying to get us Eric Marston as quickly as she possibly can, and Eric's going to be utterly thrilled to have maximised his points haul of this weekend. 2 wins, 2 pole positions, Shay. Don't really get any better for the man, does it?
It can't get any better than this. A perfect weekend. Eric Marston, how good does it feel now that it's over? You can breathe.
It feels amazing. Yeah, I was more nervous for this race than yesterday's, because I felt like I had more pressure to perform, So yeah, feels amazing.
You just kind of put your head down and ran away during the race. That's what you wanted?
Yep, that's exactly what I wanted. Put my head down, focus on my lines, just go out there and run it.
Congratulations and enjoy the celebration.
Thank you.
Well done, Eric. Well done indeed. Great driving this weekend, and what a good position he's going to be in terms of the Drivers' Championship points as we head to our next round, of course, in Montreal in support of F1 at the Circuit Gilles Villeneuve, because Eric Marston now is on 128 points, with Jan Bernier on 117 and Robert McWilliams on 107. Then you can see it's Chuck Whittle, Cyril Joxy, John Viscup, Bruce Cleveland and Lisa Clark. They are the top 8 in the Coppa Shell Drivers' Championship, with Osvaldo Gallo, Mitchell Green, Ray Acosta and Mike Luley occupying the positions P9 to 12 in terms of Drivers' Championship points. Eric Marston across this weekend, of course, banking 2 critical points for each of his pole positions, so well done indeed. Brilliant stuff. What a dramatic race that Coppa Shell race was across both the Shell drivers and the Shell Am drivers as well. Let's take a look at the points for the Shell Am drivers, which Roger Monteforte leads on 118 points, Brian Waltersdorf on 113, Jeff Nunberg on 113, then it's Steve Check, Paul Lynn and Roy Carroll. They're bouncing up the order now on 106 with Dana Goodwin P7. And then the rest of the order you can see there from 9 through 15. Jerry Walters, Al Hegyi, Helen Shu, Tal Al-Sher, Darren Bernstein, Neil Langberg and Gabe Hrib. They occupy those positions P9 through 15 in terms of the Shell Am Drivers' Championship. Roy Carroll then, who I spoke to just at lunchtime, well, he has delivered because he has taken P1. It wasn't easy for him, but he's done it.
Roy, when you spoke to Dave at lunch, did you think that this was possible?
Well, we've had good speed all week. I tell you, I got to thank the Conquest team that supports us, my coach, and especially my smoking hot wife behind me that lets me participate in this crazy sport.
What was it about today that just seemed to click for you?
I just like this track. You know, there's a rhythm to it, and if you get in that rhythm, you can maintain the speed. But this has been a good track for us.
Well, congratulations on getting that first victory.
Well, thank you. Now I'm going to watch my son-in-law race another Be Safe car in the next race.
Good luck to Gregory Hopkins as well.
Thank you.
Well done, Roy, and credit to Roy's wife, who, as I said, Tony, it's a real family affair, and the smiles all round. It's a delight to see, and as he says, he's going to watch his son-in-law next in the next race. So from Tony, from myself, and from Shay, thank you so much for watching what was a very eventful Ferrari Challenge Coppa Shell race. Bye-bye for now.